Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Orange Power Podcast. Casey Kendrick joined by Robyne Bostick for our first show of the year for Cowgirl basketball. And Coach, good to have you with us on the show.
Thank you, Casey. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
Let's talk a little bit of some Cowgirl basketball. Talk a little bit about you. You know, last time we had you on, we kind of walked through your career a little bit. We talked about some of the things that you have done over your time in coaching, but I walked away from coaching for a little bit, right? And then came back. Very interesting story. But I want to go back to you as a player.
Okay, that's going way back.
Where did you play?
I played at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia.
How did you end up there?
You know, I ended up at St. Joe's. They were really early to recruit me when I was coming out of high school. And one of my high school teammates was actually on the team at St. Joe's, and she had transferred there from another school. And so I was very familiar with it. It was only a couple hours away from home, and I just developed really good relationships with the coaching staff and with the team.
And remind me where you grew up?
Just outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so not a long, that wasn't a far stretch to go to Philadelphia, right?
No, not at all. And, you know, it was easy just to hop on the Amtrak train and be able to get home if I needed to. And I think it was close enough where I could do that, but also far enough away where I didn't feel like my parents were there all the time and I could kind of have a little bit of independence.
So what kind of player were you?
Well, you know, I was kind of a 3-4 player coming out of high school. I was a 5, and my head coach, Jim Foster, who's Women's Basketball Hall of Fame coach, he wanted to make me into a 3. And so that was a big leap for me to try and go from playing the 5 in high school to playing the 3 in college. Made that transition for a couple of years and then kind of settled in at the 4 spot. If I'm looking at our team, I would say I was a little bit of a combination of maybe a Stacey Jones-ish type, where I had that mid-range game, could rebound it pretty well. My coaches eventually let me step out and shoot a 3 every now and then, and so I could do that a little bit too.
What were you coachable?
I like to think that I was. You know, I think every player wants to say that they were coachable. But, you know, I had a really great upperclassman, and we were a successful team, not because of anything that I did, but just because of the culture that we had at St. Joe's. And so I just kind of followed the lead of our upperclassmen and our captains and team leaders, and they were all very coachable. And so that kind of trickled down to me coming in as a freshman. And then also when I got to be a senior, I was able to take on that leadership role. And my role changed, you know, while I was at St. Joe's. I went from being a redshirt freshman. I had to sit out my first year just because I was injured, and then to being a senior leader, leading scorer, leading rebounder by the time I finished.
What was the best finish you had? How did you guys tournament?
We did. So my freshman year, when I redshirted, we made the tournament. Lost to Old Dominion. That we had an at-large bid to the tournament. Lost at Old Dominion. And then my senior year, we got another at-large bid, and just luck would have it, we lost at Old Dominion again.
Oh, wow.
So both times we made it to the tournament, we lost at ODU.
The experience is, first off, it's interesting, right? Because we know what the negative connotation is with transferring and the portal and all that's kind of come with that now. You know, people forget there was transferring before.
Right.
You just had to sit out a year before
exactly.
if you did that. So it's not like transferring is brand new to the college game.
No, it isn't. It's been going on for a long time, and a lot of it is for some of the same reasons. You know, players wanted to be closer to home. Players wanted to be coached a little bit differently. We had a couple players on my team. Both of them were my roommates who transferred into St. Joe's when we got a new coach. They came with a new coach, and they were both starters and all A-10 players and brought a lot to the team. So I think there's always been kind of a good and a bad connotation to it. And, you know, sitting out, that's really just the biggest thing that's changed. And then now with the unlimited transfers too.
Yeah. And again, the game's changed so much. But those experiences, coach, you know, playing under Coach Foster and again, teammates coming, going, you being a freshman to being a senior leader. How's that helped mold you as a coach and the coach you are today?
I think the biggest thing that I took away from being on those teams at St. Joe's was just the culture, and how the leaders and how the seniors have to kind of teach that to the underclassmen and to the freshmen, because I think coming in, so many freshmen think they know what's going on and they think they know how things are. But it comes down to really what the upperclassmen and what the captains are going to do. And Coach Jac talks all the time about being a player-led team, and I think those are the types of teams that I played on and that I was fortunate enough to play on, where we really were just a player-led team. And so as a team, if we can handle some things and just hold each other accountable, then that goes a long way towards team success.
So you mentioned Coach. You have been with Coach Jac longer than anyone else has, right? And so obviously there was a comfort level for her bringing you here and helping her establish what she wanted to establish here, because you'd been with her at UMKC. So talk about that. Talk about that relationship and kind of how it's grown from being a Roo to being a Cowgirl.
Yeah, I think it's really just been very natural just to transition from UMKC in Kansas City and coming down here to Stillwater. I think there's a comfort level just having worked with each other now for this is year 8, and I don't think a lot of coaches always have that relationship. And with me and Jac, we didn't know each other before I got the job at Kansas City, and so I think it's also a little bit unusual when you go into a situation and you don't know somebody, and then it just ends up working out where we can complement each other with the things that she's good at and the things that I'm good at, and personality-wise and different things that we bring. And then for me also just understanding what she wants from the team, what she expects on and off the court. And just to kind of be that person there to support her. And
your role, obviously, right? You were associate head coach there. You came here as player development, and now with the NCAA rules, I mean, that's allowed you to actually start coaching again. Talk about how you've gone from not being on the floor to now being on the floor and actually doing scouts and coaching post, right?
Yes, yep. So coaching the post, doing some scouting reports, and I think going into Kansas City, I think that was one of my strengths, was more of the X's and O's and some of the basketball stuff. So coming here the first year and not being able to do it, still being able to contribute a little bit behind the scenes and give suggestions and do things in that regards. But now it's kind of, for me, coming a little bit more into my comfort zone and what I've always been used to doing. And I will say when I first got into coaching, so obviously a long time ago, but that was at a time when the third assistant wasn't allowed to coach. I'm sorry, the third assistant wasn't allowed to recruit, and so I was doing all the coaching, and so that's very similar just to what I'm doing now. So that's kind of going back to where I started.
It's interesting, again, just all the changes, right? From not being able to recruit to adding a fourth coach, and then you could have 4 people on the road, but you can't have 5, and then now everybody can be on the floor, essentially. I mean, the limitations are becoming less and less. Talk about, again, just how satisfying that is, right? To be here, to be a part of the staff, to do what you do as player development, but then to have the scout. You had the scout, in fact, against Cincinnati, right? And you got a chance to really break that down. And then to go out there and get a win. I mean, that's really why you coach, right? That's the satisfactory moments.
It is, for sure, and coaches are going to say that they love the time on the court with the teams. They love the X's and O's part. They love just the satisfaction, like you mentioned, of being able to put the scouting report together and then seeing it executed on the floor. Like, that's why we coach. There's all the other stuff that kind of comes with it, but moments like last night, those are really the reasons that we coach and the things that most coaches really love about it.
So let's talk about this team a little bit, in general, kind of in whole. I mean, this is a team that is different than it was a year ago. It is one that has come in with an identity of offense and being able to shoot. And we've seen the ebb and flow of that, right? There's been a couple of off nights, but this team is, you mentioned leadership, and usually you think seniors and you think freshmen, or actually juniors. This team right now has a leader in Staley Hurd who's just a sophomore, and holy smokes, if there's ever been a leader by example, just hitch your wagon to Staley Hurt, she's going to take you to good places.
She is, and Staley is one of the most competitive kids that I've ever coached. And when she makes her mind up to do something, she's gonna do it. And last night there was no way she was gonna let us lose that game. She just wanted to put the team on her back, and with her 13 rebounds and defending Cincinnati's best player, and then scoring as well, like she just wanted to pull everybody along with her, and she really did.
Well, and again, just thinking about the way things have changed, you think naturally the progression is I start here as a freshman, and by the senior I am the leader, right? But when you have so many kids transient across the country, you bring in a fifth-year kid, but this is not really my team. I've just got here, and so you need, sometimes that's going to create younger leaders than we've seen in the past. And Jaden Wooten may be that kind of kid too. I mean, because Jaden is such a tough as nails kind of kid. So it's different. We always think it's going to be the seniors. Certainly the juniors or seniors. That's not necessarily the case anymore.
No, it isn't. Now we want players who are coming in, and especially when they come in as freshmen and are getting a lot of playing time, like Staley did last year, like Jaden is this year. They have to grow up a little bit faster. And so that maturity level and that learning curve is going to be sped up just a little bit. But it's really good for Jaden to see the type of leader that Staley is. And so now next year, Jaden's going to have a little bit more maturity, and she'll be able to do the same things that Staley is, and then we'll have both of them, coming along with some of our underclassmen too. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Terrific start to the year. This show is going to kind of be a little bit different this year, a little bit less X's and O's and more kind of just getting to know some of the people involved with the program. We are going to talk some X's and O's along the way, but I want to talk, since we've got you, I want to talk about the post, all right? So you bring in Tenon, young lady, very intelligent, very good young lady, lots of size. Then you bring in off the bench a young lady, a great young lady, big smile, high energy, and physical in praise. And then you bring in a Stacey Jones who is just as athletic and can jump out of the gym. You've got some pretty good riches at the post position right now.
We do. So we really like the depth that we have at the post position because they're each good at different things. And so Tenon obviously has the size. She came in as a really good paint protector, good rim protector, can block shots, good hands, good touch, finishing around the basket. Then we have Praise coming in, who's just is super, super high energy. We saw that in the Iowa State game when she was just really going at their post players. So a little bit different. Praise is going to defend. She's going to be hard-nosed. She's going to be physical. And then Stacey coming in, a little bit more finesse, but super, super athletic. So she can do things, getting after rebounds, being quick, getting steals on defense. That's a little bit different. It looks different from Tenon and Praise, but with the three of them together, I mean, we're just have a really good depth at that position.
When you look at the teams, I'm just looking at you guys have a conference standing board here, and, Kansas State up there, I think Aoka Lee, obviously, and then you look at TCU, they're more athletic in the post. Don't know much about Utah yet, but I know what West Virginia is. We've already seen the post in Baylor, Iowa State, and Audie Crooks. You need those three because every night these 16 teams in this league present a different challenge in the post, and it's awesome to have those different ways to attack any opponent.
It is, because I think it makes us harder to scout. So it's not just that we have Tenon and then have another 6'4", 6'5" player coming in where the scouting report is going to be exactly the same for all three of them. So we have the three of them who are all very different, and so teams have to prepare differently for them. And they all just really get along and support each other. It's just been kind of fun to watch. It's
been fun to watch. Obviously, a very quick start. And the final thing, Coach, chemistry. I mean, this team is, those three. I mean, again, you go, well, they're all three wanting playing time. Stacey is probably getting the least amount of playing time, but she is a big personality. Praise, I don't know, other than getting knocked down on the floor not long ago, I don't know that I've ever seen her not have a smile on her face. And again, Tenon is just one of those kids that, okay, tell me what to do. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to do what I have to. Not just in the post. This chemistry on this team is really good right now.
It is with everybody, and with our post players, they are each other's biggest supporters. And so if Tenon makes a big play on the court, it's Stacey and Praise who stand up and cheer it out as four, and that goes across the board with all three of them. And so that, I think, is really unusual to see, where there's not that competitiveness or anything, that chippiness with them. And then the team chemistry really with everybody. I mean, I've been coaching a long time, and I don't know that I've been part of a team where players 1 through 14 all get along and all want to spend time together and all enjoy each other's company on and off the court the way this team does.
Yeah, you know, that can be coach speak, and you hear it, but that's legit. This year, that is absolutely legit, just how good this team is from that standpoint. Coach, congratulations on the quick start. We'll look forward to talking to you, possibly again later in the season, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that's going to do things for wrap things up for us here. Want to say thanks to Coach Bostick for being here. Certainly appreciate you guys tuning in as well. I'm Casey Kendrick. We'll see you next time on the Orange Power Podcast.